Good evening again, everybody. I'm here to talk about EDOGIS. EDOGIS is the government body that's responsible for land administration in Edo State. Um, to save time, I'll just move quickly through the slides. Now, EDOGIS was inaugurated in 2017. Um, however, um, However, we did not start operations too much later, and the reasons will become apparent as we go down the slides. That's because we had to do a lot of work in the background before we reveal ourselves to the public. Now, our mission at EDOGIS, and indeed the vision of the state, is to institutionalize sustainable and equitable land administration, because land is a bedrock for any economic activity. And we intend to do this by being the catalyst for development, by providing cutting-edge services to our investors, um, by helping to grow strategic economic settlements, and by ensuring that our methodology for land administration is community-based and users inclusive. Our core objectives are to ensure basically mapping of the entire state. It will shock you to note that in the history of the state, nobody has ever bothered to map the state. And we really wonder what governments have been managing when they don't even know what's within their boundaries. We also out to digitize and computerize all our land administration processes. This has been done mostly. And also we developed a land management system, the use for which we will see as we go along. So why did government decide to go the route of GIS? Basically because it fosters better decision making. GIS allows you to understand what is happening and what will happen within any geographical space. It does this through better correlation of data, record keeping, and then being able to incorporate synergy between different departments and organizations within the government. GIS gives government a platform that allows you to plan smart and develop much smarter end-to-end solutions. Some of this we will see as we go along. And in setting up EDOGIS, we started, like I said, with the area mapping of the state, 17,800 square kilometers of the state. And from this, we're able to start producing administrative and topographical maps. So for the first time in the state, you could be sure of accurate mapping. And from this, we developed cadastral surveys for our major towns. We are actually able to identify isolated land, footprints of building on it, types of building on it for the first time. And while this was going on, we did it from ground up with our staff, because we didn't just start a system that would be implemented for us by a service provider and then we now start looking for people to run it. No, from day one, we had already gotten our staff, our agents into place, and we actually implemented EDOGIS with Edo State staff and with the supervisors looking over our shoulder. And EDOGIS is the end result. So some quick dates, the important dates in the life of EDOGIS. In February of 2017, the contract was awarded for the area survey. And whilst that was still going on, EDOGIS was inaugurated by Mr. Governor. So EDOGIS is actually a child or a product of deep thinking. By December of that year, we managed to reach an agreement for leverage funding for the project. EDOGIS is funded off books through leverage funds. By January, we got the first payment. January of 2018, we got the first payment to start implementing EDOGIS. By April of 2018, the EDOGIS bill was signed into law. This law is the EDOGIS and Land Administration Law 2018 of Edo State. So the agency is backed by law and all its activities are also backed by law. And then by June of that same year, the Ministry of Lands and Survey and the Land Use Charge Office were consolidated into EDOGIS, so that the Ministry of Lands and Survey and the Land Use Charge Office were rested, and everything now became EDOGIS. So EDOGIS offers end-to-end services, land administration services, from acquisition through operation management to when you decide to sell it if you want to. We open our doors to the public in the July of 2018, and by January of 2020, we have crossed the glass ceiling of the first 1 billion naira generated revenue. More on that later. Now, EDOGIS, we run 3 platforms. Our GIS platform takes care of our maps, land use, and planning. The land information system takes care of land registration, certifications, and tracking of land transactions, while the property rate information system takes care of valuation and our land-based taxes. This is important. Somebody mentioned multiple taxes earlier on. Actually, what EDOGIS has done or afforded government to do is to consolidate all its land-based taxes. I'm talking of ground rent, I'm talking of tenement rate and property tax into one tax called land use charge, and that is served only once a year. So we do not have multiple people coming multiple times to the same premises to serve tax papers. I think I will jump this. I wanted to talk about our people and our structure, but let us go to the meat of the presentation. But this graphic shows the kind of organization we are. We like to think of ourselves as a technology company selling business information, and we are fully computerized, and all our processes and work streams are fully computerized. The scope of services we provide include archiving of land and survey information, georeferencing of and scanning of existing maps and layout. We've scanned files and data entries for all relevant NDAs, meaning when you get land from agriculture, you get land from Kevin YB's private business people, we are the ones who will document this land for you and give it its titling. There are several other things we also do: property valuation, property taxation, systematic land titling, and so on. I will get into details about the land titling and property registration. So some of the things we've been able to do in the last 2.5, 3 years, I already spoke about area survey of Benin City and all urban cities in Edo State, including Aochi, Evbuomwan, but we do have mapping coverage over the entire state. While we have area auto photos over our urban cities, we have satellite photos over the rest of the state. Now, the difference is that the resolution for the area photos is at 10 centimeters, while the resolution of the satellite is anything from 50 to 100 centimeters. So with our auto photos, we have excellent photographs of the entire state from above. We've also managed to reduce the cost of acquisition of land titles and documentation from between 70 to 80% of previous costs. Acquisition of land titles is now much simplified. The entire process is computerized, and we've delivered 6,500 titles to prospective and existing retail and corporate investors. We have received about 10,000 applications, so work goes on. But one of the most interesting things we've done is that between the days of Midwest region and Edo State, about 40, 50 odd years, we discovered 30,000 legacy files, 30,000 land files in the ministry, kept in all manners and all shapes and in all sorts of storage methods. We've been able to catalog these files and digitize them. So we have some electronic copies of all these files. So going forward, all those legacy files are now safe. As of the end of last month, we generated over 3 billion and also picked up 1 or 2 national prizes from our staff. So the services we offer include recertification of existing certificate of occupancy. Now, there's a challenge with the old certificate of occupancy. The certificate bears survey plans that may or may not be accurately tied to the land parcel in itself. Modern technology, you can't blame them, that was the available technology at that time. But modern technology now allows us to accurately pinpoint the location of every land parcel. And so we're in the new certificate of occupancy that EDOGIS issues. Every piece of land is uniquely mapped on the overall state map, and it therefore becomes impossible to have multiple certificates over the same piece of land. We also offer property registration. Okay, so this is where I want to talk about systemic property registration and sporadic property registration. Now, sporadic is when people come off the streets to come register their property. That's mostly what we do for now. People just walk up to us or call us or send us emails and say they want to register their property. But beyond that, we are also in a short while going to implement systematic registration, where we will now take property registration to everybody. Now, the reason for this is when every property is registered, and we have all the ownership information, size information, location information, use information in place, it becomes a lot easier to transact business with these land parcels. Government also issues direct allocation of land to now corporate investors. When the Prime Secretary of Agriculture was talking, he mentioned some names like Saturn Farms, like Farm Fort, like Feroz. He said 45,000 hectares of land has been given out to oil palm. That's absolutely correct. We issue the titles for those lands. Of course, we wouldn't know that we also issue titles to people like Nusa Group, Dangote, and so on, and thousands of retail investors as well. And another service we do for government is to collect land use charge, which, as I mentioned earlier on, is a unified tax incorporating the ground rent property tax and the property tax. And we track what you do with your land, whether you're mortgaging your land or you're transferring it, or it's probate, or you're partitioning your land, or you just want to find out about a piece of land before you invest your money, which is the smart thing to do. We offer that service in addition to things like surveys and map products and other GIS products. Let me spend some time on how, because I think this has been an issue where I have gotten the most correspondence with people, both diaspora and locally. How do you register your property? Now, the first step is to get our forms. Our forms are available online at www.edogis.org. It's also available at our customer service. We make proud to say that we are the first, if not the only government agency to utilize a system of customer service where our people we have trained operatives waiting to answer your questions, either through the phone, by email, or Facebook, or you walk off the street, we have people waiting to assist you with your application. Fill out those applications accurately and sign. For now, we are unable to offer online submission of application forms. So we recommend, if you're not available, you get a local representative. But this is what you do. Fill out the application yourself. The files are available in PDF. Fill it out, sign it, and email it to your representative or to our offices. We'll print it out, and it's accepted when we enter it into our system, and your application has begun. Gather all the land documents you have. We will require copies of them. Where we are in doubt about the copies, we may request to see the originals. If not, we just move ahead. Applicants will also require valid photo ID. Accepted photo IDs include international passports, national ID card, driver's license, voter's registration card, etc., etc. Now, when we say driver's license or government issued ID cards, we mean government issued ID cards no matter the country you live in. It doesn't have to be Nigerian government issued ID card. We get a lot of issues where people in diaspora they have problems in things like ID cards, and then their representatives have been found wanting in one or two places where they fake national ID cards for their people they're representing or their clients that they're representing. And it's dangerous because your land file is a legal document, and anything that is found to be false inside that land file can actually invalidate the entire file. So as much as possible, indeed, we insist that every information you provide is accurate and true. If you stay in Scotland, it doesn't matter to us. Just quoting your Scottish identification, your Scottish what they call it now, your Scottish utility bill, so that we can verify your address, and the rest is easy for us. Completed application forms and land documents are to be submitted to our customer service center. Like I said earlier, for now, we do not have online submissions, but very soon we're working on the best way to accomplish that. And then you'll be required to pay a fee of 50,000 naira processing fee. Once that is done, the applicant will receive an acknowledgement letter and the processing starts. Now, depending on whether the application requires us to verify issues either from your submitted title documents or from your plot identification document, we may or may not need your representative or yourself at our offices. However, whatever is the case, we will always communicate with you by SMS or by email, and we also encourage you to communicate with us by those media. Once that's done, once we've gone through the application and it's successful, we will send you a letter of grant which you need to fill out and return to our offices. And once that's done, the only other time we'll need to contact you is when your certificate is ready for collection. So from this, there are only 3 points of contact. First point of contact, submission and payment, initial payment. Second point of contact, when you need verification of documents or site, and that doesn't apply to everybody. Third and final point of contact, when you collect the final job. So going forward, what are our fees and our charges? Because that's the most of the question I get. How much does it cost to get a CFO? First of all, let me say that all our rates are available at our website, www.edogis.org. However, calculating your charges takes a bit of an effort. There are a lot of information you need to be able to input. That's because every single piece of land is different. Our charges are based on your land size, your land use, and your location premium. And when we get your survey plan, for instance, we feed into our system, the zones, the state already divided into zones, the system will tell us which zone you fall into. That is why Frank is unable to help you by giving you how much your CFO will cost over the phone. I need to have your survey. I need to plot your survey before I can calculate how much it would take. But I can give you an average. For a standard plot of land used for residential purposes, it will take you between 75 and 80,000 naira. Of course, as the land size gets bigger for the agricultural concerns and all, the rates will increase. But it is not a geometric increase, it's an arithmetic increase. Another point you might want to note is that applicants without personal income tax domiciled in Edo State is subjected to a one-time development levy of 100,000 naira per year. What does this mean? If you have 100 applications in this year, you will pay your development levy just once. If you have one application this year, you will pay your development levy just once. By next year, you will have to pay another development levy. I already mentioned the non-refundable processing fee of 50,000. This applies to all applications for certificate of occupancy. Additional charges and taxes apply, but again, to repeat, that depends on your land size, what you're using the property for, and the location. And government allocation fees will apply if government is the one allocating you land. All our payments are non-cash. We do not have facilities to deal with cash. We only accept payments either by POS if you are present in our office, by web pay through your favorite bank application, or by physical bank transfer at your bank location. And all our fees and charges are Naira denominated only. So please do the conversions before you pay for anything.
Have you got a long, do you still have a lot to cover?
Sorry, no, I'm almost done.
Okay.
So how can I think this is second to last? Yeah. How can EDOGIS help your business? Well, because we keep all the land information in the state, we are able to help you with speedy retrieval of property information for registered properties. And this day and time, it is not wise to invest in property without investigating thoroughly. EDOGIS is your favorite partner in doing that. We also ease your business by providing timely and structured access to land and property titles. That allows you to unlock the hidden potential and then to raise capital for your business. In conjunction with the State PPP office, with ESIPO, KBYB's ESIPO, we facilitate the provision of government land to high-value investors. I mentioned before some people we've provided the services for. We can also help you with surveys and maps and auto maps to help you identify your property before and after you purchase property. Finally, we offer you investment security by providing you a secure encrypted digital certificate of occupancy, which contains all the information needed about your land in a secured encrypted format, and also ensures that your land cannot have another title issued on it. So you get that kind of this thing. So last words. What happened to my last words? Here we go. In our Benin balance here, we say now who gets your phone and get assurance. The best way to protect your land from land grabbers is to ensure that you properly document your land. And we are here to help you do that in a seamless manner. Needless to say, this administration is revving up the economy of the state by facilitating such an automated and structured land administration regime. We know and we do believe that our economy is going to be driven up by private investments and even public investments in real estate. So EDO is open. We invite you to come. EDOGIS is open to receiving you and your inquiries, and will help get your land titles and documentation out in record time. Thank you very much, everybody.